What is up, everyone? How are we doing tonight, today, now, later? Oh, that's sweet, sweet pop. Big fan of the long time summer edition, still going strong. Red Bull. This is not sponsored, but I'm open to opportunities just like the next person. Still working my way up to my first 100 subscribers, but after I hit the first 100, I'm sure the 1,000 will come rolling in, right? Also looking to have more views in general. Probably would help if I put out more content. Much apologies, it's been a crazy year, COVID-19. This is just a very special, coming to you live from the Studio HH edition of, in theory here, this is a segment known as On the Road to Saturday Night Live. Potentially workshopping here the idea of calling the new podcast, or the ultimate podcast, the one that I will start officially, just calling it podcast, or this is a podcast, or what is podcast. Its slogan will just be podcast with a question mark attached to it. So that's that. I thought, because I haven't watched any of the new SNL except for one exception. That was I believe, not even sure which episode it was. It was just because I was curious to see something and bored one night. I did discover that they're doing an interesting thing, which leads me to why I brought that up. So I watched not sure if that's going to pick up on there, but always good to update your computers. Your drivers are updated. That's good. So we're at 2 minutes 40, not too bad. Our average watch span is pretty decent. We can always edit, but for the most part, here's what's most important. Distractions are imminent. I feel all the time constantly distracted by everything. It's frustrating, I'll tell you, at the very least. Having the computer pop up like that, very unprofessional. So, either way, I decided to review an SNL episode. That reminds me, matter of fact, another unsolicited, but shout out to Peacock Network, NBC official Peacock Network. They did disappoint me, however, for it being their longest running sketch comedy and one of their staples. It's never left their side. SNL, I'm talking about, didn't have a front row feature on the Peacock user interface, and I thought that was very interesting. And I would think they should have front. Them and Law and Order are two showrunners, big time. Law and Order and them. But they were promoting the Peacock Network new exclusives, which is great. The new Punky Brewster should be fun. I did enjoy the Saved by the Bell reboot, though I think I could have done better as Zach's kid. Throwing that out there, I'm going to be in LA seeking that representation, right on schedule. So, I decided to review a special SNL episode because the Peacock Network has all of SNL. And you will notice that a lot of the music acts are edited out. The reason for this is pretty simple. It costs money, and it's unnecessary. It's not a part of the sketch variety show, which is the main reason you're watching most times, though sometimes it might be felt you are watching for that exclusive musical act. An easy example comes to mind, the lip syncing with Ashley Simpson. Notorious edit out and such. I also believe there's intros held out because either Tony Danza did not do a host intro for this episode, or it was cut out. I'm not sure either way. Which leads me to the one I did. So, here is your Saturday Night Live review for April 19th, 1986. Hosting by Tony Danza, musical act Laurie Anderson. So, the first thing I noticed is the neon intro credits. It's the exact same as what they're doing now. So the current is doing a bit of the 80s vibe. So I thought that was very fascinating to me. Just like the current style, yeah. Now this was the season that had Joan Cusack. And he went by Robert Downey. It was Robert Downey Jr. I thought that was interesting. He goes by Robert Downey back then. Then you got Nora Dunn. You got Anthony Michael Hall, who's the one that got Robert his job on SNL, or the audition at the very least. They were, if you're not familiar with the 80s, they were in movies back then. Then you got John Lovitz, who I feel like was a staple of this team. And then Dennis Miller, who was a great writer. Randy Quaid, that's right, Dennis's brother. And then Terry Sweeney. And then, oh man, I'm going to mess her name up. I know her last name's Vance, but it's Demetra. I'm going to mess her name up. I would feel bad. She died recently. Maybe not recently. Time's been warped for me, but she died. I want to say it was of cancer, if memory serves. But her name will probably come back to me. It's a very unique name. Either way, that was interesting. So then there was so this is what I'm saying. There was no host thing. There was no Tony Danza thing. Then it went straight to the cold open, which was 6 minutes and 25 seconds. Perfectly. You got Danza versus O'Malley, which is played by Michael Hall. And what's interesting about this is later on in this season, possibly even, you have Anthony Michael Hall doing a boxing bit again. So I thought that was interesting. And the whole joke is that they changed the rules in the boxing to 30 seconds instead of the 10, like 1, 2, 3 for the knockout rules and such. So it's 30 seconds. It's like way too much time overall. So you have like John Lovitz is the announcer, play-by-play guy. And he has time to cut to clips, like movie clips of like Danza when he was a kid, talking about how his dad inspired him to be a boxer. And he has time to interview Danza in between takes. And then he has time to even do like autographs, like so Danza's character can actually autograph. And then his girl comes up, is like, baby, when are you going to go? He's like, oh, I don't know. So then that's the whole thing. It's really clever. I would totally see myself being like, hey, can we do this thing again? Because the 30-second rule added to the boxing is just, it's very good. Very well done. And then the next one after that is cool. It's like, a lot of people don't get Quaid too much, but this is one of the few times you'll probably see Randy Quaid. I'm looking forward to, I'm going to be doing all these episodes now that I have access to them again. And so you got Randy Quaid, and it's called Big Time Golf. You got John Lovitz, and he's the interview person. He's got a bow tie on, real cute stuff. Yeah, here's the ticket. And so Quaid comes in as Bobby Longball Anderson. And Bobby Longball Anderson, he's like really loud and just like really, really, really loud character. And he does this thing where he walks toward the camera like, oh, you know, it's pretty interesting stuff. And then you got Danza comes in, and he does just like pretty, just comedically terrible Russian accent. It's yeah, his character's name is let's see if I got it. This is why we need to start getting back into the old flow, right? Almost at 10. Yeah, that's all right though. 10's pretty good. Oh yeah, so Danza's character is Gary the Russian Schneider, and he does this bit where he has the American flag and he cleans his club. It's no big deal. But what's fun is what comes in next. You got Anthony Michael Hall and you got Robert Downey Jr. coming together. And Downey's got like these guys on. You could barely tell it was him, but you know because they're buddies that they did all their stuff together pretty much. And so their characters was Professor Larry Langquist. And then his sidekick was Downey, and his name was Dr. Pummel. And they're all like scientific, and he's got like a graduation cap and stuff. And they're like, we're going to start about, I don't know. It's pretty fun. It's like WWE vibe. So I really appreciated that. The WWE vibe, I really appreciated that. It's like crazy characters. That's basically what I was thinking. And then came the update, the weekend update with Miller. Dennis Miller. He some things I noticed about him. I'm not sure about the papers. I think he might have the like rough part of the joke, and then the punches might be on the cue card, or it all might be from the cue card. He's very professional, and this is in the 80s, so I'm not sure how they were doing it, but he would look down at the papers, but barely ever at all, and so it was hard to tell how he was doing it. So they're mostly a prop, I figure, the way he does it, because every update's special in their own. So you know, you got the papers and stuff, and so I noticed that Miller's papers jokes may have been props more than they are, because at the end he stacks the papers before he does the sign off, and I noticed he has very solid timing. Like he's very professional. You can tell he's a refined stand-up comic. But I mean, we're talking about Dennis Miller here in the year 2020, 2021 now. Dennis Miller, I mean, come on, he's amazing. Much respect to that guy and his entire career. And I'm gonna read his novel. It's on the list right now. I'm working on. Yeah. Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, right. So then he has a nasalier pitch, kind of like Mark Maron. I noticed when it comes to how Miller delivers and what he speaks. He's wearing a tweed suit, which is pretty awesome. Pretty fucking awesome. Well, I'm not sure how many more I get before it's not child friendly. I always put over 18 anyway. Not that I plan to get naked or nothing, you know. Yeah. So there was two president jokes. It was Reagan at the time. There was one political joke about the New York City mayor, and then there was three pop culture jokes. I'm talking about what Dennis Miller does at the Weekend Update. His, da 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 da, and one of them was actually this is a 1986 episode, but one of them was a thing about a plane, and I believe it was a plane crashing or something. But he's saying, "Nah, don't worry about it, folks, because the plane was full of terrorists." I was like, "Oh, dang, that's crazy," because 2001 September 11th and such. Never forget that as well, right? Uh, it's crazy stuff, man. Back when Giuliani wasn't looking like the Penguin, he was looking more like Statue of Liberty and such and such and such. Yeah, what else do we got? Oh yeah, so then you had this French ambassador come on named Babette, and it was played by Nora Dunn. And here's the thing: the accent was mediocre, but I give her 100% for just going all in on the character. I want to say that I feel like current cast members, Chloe Fineman and Cicely, could easily have done this way better and pull it off as a new character if they could do it. It was phenomenal. She just did a lot of sexual innuendos and such, and just talked about the ambassador and how it would have been if America was talking to France about a deal or such and such. Uh, but yeah, that's it. And then what else? Oh yeah, they did a boxing like, oh, we got this live boxing update, and they switched to this television screen and they showed Rock'em Sock'em robots fighting each other. Um, he's like, oh, they're looking pretty technical or mechanical or something like that. Um, yeah, totally. Oh, and then there's a segment that I totally would love to bring back when I'm doing Weekend Update. I would totally bring this back. It would be it's viewers mail in questions. So the viewers actually mail in questions to Dennis Miller and he answers the questions. And I thought, like, damn, that's a good one. That's a good one for sure, for sure. Then Penn and Teller came on, and they have a couple of episodes at least, minimum. Like, they popped in. They were good friends of SNL, the SNL family. And they did this thing with an assistant, Kimberly, but they could only afford the snake. And so it's a take on when you cut the woman in half, but instead it's cutting the snake in half. I could see how it was done, but magician would never reveal secrets or presume, or you can watch it if you got Peacock Network at the very least. I know that much. So yeah, it was fun. It's fun. Penn and Teller are great. Seeing them young is crazy. Not that they're old or nothing. Uh, then you had Danza and Joan Cusack. I'm pretty sure it was Joan Cusack for sure. She's got a more masculine face. Yes, that Cusack. That's correct. His sister. Yeah. So it was like I called it "Do You Love Me?" It's like they're going back and forth, Danza and her in bed together, and they're just going back and forth about like, oh, do you really love me? Yeah, I love you more than blah 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 blah. You love you, love you. And the punch was that then his mother calls and he has to start it all over again. Like, no, mom, oh man, I love you, yeah, I love you, blah blah blah. And then it was the final thing, which I really liked. It was one. I think I'm curious to go through all of the Saturday Night Live catalog and like see a lot of this because I really love the commercial aspect when it's a video. I like when it's a really believable commercial, and this one was totally believable. And it's for this stuff called like it's based on Crazy Glue. It's called Wacky Glue, and yeah, so the Wacky Glue commercial starts with Randy Quaid, and he's like the spokesman, and he's all saying, "Oh yeah, I glued this board to my head." And it's like actual boards. I glued this board to my head to prove the wacky glue, and then it cuts to another tape. That was me 5 years ago. And now look, I'm still with this board stuck on my head, and then it cuts, and it's like it's more in like a '60s retro vibes type of thing, more of the suede type, or whatnot, corduroy pants type of thing, And then it's like that was me 7 years or 5 years ago, because the first one was him with it stuck. So it's basically saying it's still stuck to him, and then it cuts to this old guy that's not Randy Quaid anymore. It's like some other guy who might have been a writer or an actor. I don't know what this guy is. He's not main cast, that's for sure. And he's got the board, and they got a crane attached to him now, and it's like a whole crane thing, and it's going to pick him up by his head, basically, to attempt to remove the wacky glue board from his head. And he's like, that was me 7 years ago. This is me now. And then it cuts to Anthony Michael Hall, and he's like, turning off the that was my dad, and I think he might have said like something 4 years ago. And this is him now, and it's a skull with the board still glued, and then that's like the whole punch is he's all, if it don't have a board stuck to the skull of my dad, it ain't wacky glue. It was a great commercial bit. And then the other interesting thing is the crawl, because if you watch the original SNL, it's very minimal names drop at the end of the episode. So that's something I do kind of pay attention to, because the modern episodes, it's almost like crazy fast and a lot of names. It's not so, but it makes sense in a lot of ways. There's probably a lot of staff and such. Wow, I'm getting the full-on, like, I'm going to be a vampire and redo. Just call me Kiefer, right? For reals, though. I play Kiefer's character in reboots of that, Yeah, whatever. Way to stereotype myself. Yeah, so I noticed a few things, right? I'm not sure. I need to do more research. This is either from the season when Lorne first came back, or I thought this was the season that Lorne's was gone, but I think this might be the first, because I remember Lorne fired everyone but John Lovitz. I believe this is the first season Lorne came back, because I think what it was 80 through 85, Lorne was gone. 86 is when Lorne picked it back up, because this thing has the credit crawl, and in the credit crawl, I'll get to that in a second. That's my favorite. That's another really cool thing. But the host. Okay, so Lorne as the executive producer, and then it has Franken and Davis, who are the guys that I wasn't name dropping earlier. But the book that I'm reading first, before I read the book that Miller wrote, is the book by Franken and Davis. It's by Davis, but Franken does the foreword, which is the part I would be on. But I'm not reading that book yet. I'm going to, though. Promise that much. So, director is Dave Wilson, which is interesting because I would look it up more, but I'm fairly certain Dave Wilson is still one of the main directors of the show to this day. The head writer I need to look into, because his name was James Downey. And I was thinking, I wonder if James Downey has any relationship to Robert Downey or not. Because if James Downey and Robert Downey, that's interesting to me. That'd be interesting, But yeah, then written by credits had Lorne Michaels in there too. So I'm thinking, in my head, I'm going, okay, so Lorne came back, and that first season, Cusack and all those people all got the axe, and so then 87's going to have the whole new crew rolling in, and Dina Carvey probably starts showing up around that time and such. Phil Hartman, all those people. Excuse me, carbonation matters. But that's about it on that one. So I thought, like, man, that's some neat stuff, Oh, but the one thing I was going to mention is the first time you really get to see it is during Penn and Teller's act. You can kind of see I don't know if it's a newer stage, neither. I'm going to look into that. It's going to be really fun to go through. And ideally, I'm going to have people with me to view it together. I'd like to find a way, too, as well, to have y'all be able to see it, what I'm reviewing, because I know that that's how it works. But I'm not sure that if that's fair to NBC, they might not allow it. So it's most likely not going to be available in that way. We'll figure something cool out. When I say will, I mean the Future Players Society, but realistically, this is beyond all of us. I think it's most likely going to be a sooner than later productions type circumstance. But this is all nonsense for now. What's more important is me explaining. So, the stage is very cool. It had a marquee. And the band was in the, I believe, if my memory serves, it would be the balcony on the top stage right. There was a balcony where the band performed at. So the band was on a balcony performing downward. And that was a thing for a while, I believe. Currently, though, now it is the band performs on the front stage, which then is also the stage that the host comes through the doorways of. So either way, the stage had a marquee with signs, and it says "Worlds," like big lights, "Worlds, World," or no, just "World." It says "World, World," which is pretty awesome. I wasn't sure what that's about. And then it says host Tony Danza and then music act Lauren Rain. So I imagine that it was always like that. And it probably says Penn and Teller on the other side, I'm guessing. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, so I noticed those few things. Otherwise, what else could I say? I'm going to find a way to get a camera that will make this appropriate, because right now I can tell because the K is reversed and the sounders and everything is flipped around. That means this camera is inverted. So I'll fix that as well. But I'm gonna be starting to do this more. It's gonna be a different circumstance, because this is Studio HH, which is currently under reconvention split up, and I'm gonna be going down to California, Los Angeles now, and being down there to work mobile. So I'll be doing these more often than not, and we'll be figuring everything out together. Don't worry. I appreciate you joining in, future audience, and I appreciate those that are here current, and anybody around. Feel free to say hi and everything. I'll never be too cool to not appreciate you. And keep the hate coming too, haterades. Drink your haterades and come at me too, bros and sisters and whizzes and dizzers and jicks. And I don't know, man. I don't really care much for that. I'm on a higher frequency, as they say. I'm not sure. People like me, I figure. What else could I report? So I've done a few stand-up. I did my first Seattle and my first hosting gig, and it went very well. What's fun is I did a bit about slowly revealing myself, and I had multiple layered masks on, and I was doing a play on the fact that I wear the neck gaiter, which is pretty much useless, and then I wear the actual mask underneath that or in front of it. So I actually have always been doing 2 layers, but just mostly just multiple cloth or whatever. And now that's a thing where they're highly recommending people do that against the newer, faster, easier Contagion version and whatnot. Just come out from South Africa, of course, of all places, South Africa. Damn British and German fuckers. So either way, I did this whole thing with the hosting where I was revealing. Unfortunately, this guy Bruce, he's kind of a trash bag. He'd be like, "Oh, hey, we're friends and stuff," but not really. He treats you like clients, and he's trying to charge me for it and all this nonsense. It's like, dude, just be a friend. And he's not, so that's fine. So either way, my own fault for not being prepared, having multiple camera, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck? I'm just saying. It was cool. Oh, that's the second F-bomb, so pretty sure that makes us 18 and over official now. Which is cool. Now I can get naked. No, I'm just kidding. Can't get naked. It's YouTube, right? And whatever else. But mostly this is going to cut to YouTube. So what else can I say? Not too much else to report. Doing the stand-up stuff. Seattle's been doing their best, It's interesting. There's a tent one. It's crazy, cracked out, meth out lady. Like, she was nuts. So that was a fun story I could talk about. We'll probably bring to stage and then do it on here. We'll figure the clean mix out. And then otherwise, saw the mom for one last time before I go down to Cali. That's good too, right? Another mom's all right too. And then what else? Repaired old friendships, made new ones, etc. What else? Spent pretty much everything. There's no money left except for what's in the... That's it. I've spent the wad. I'm done. So California's over. I got to work hard when I get down there and pick up as many as possible and seek representation ASAPs. Otherwise, make sure you click like, subscribe. The thumbs ups are important. Resharing, retweeting, all that. Pass me on. Let people know I exist and that this is dropping sooner than later. It's coming faster than ever. I'll tell you what, we got a few good things coming, I assure you. Oh, baby. So, otherwise, I ought to cut it off at 30 either way. There's still 5 minutes left before 30's over. I'm gonna have intro crawl music, and that's good. And I'm gonna have guests that are people. And I'm thinking the main thing is right now we're gonna review Saturday Night Live in orders. And we're gonna do this, and then we'll get up to current. But we'll start with current as well. So I'm gonna interlude it because the earlier people, it would make sense, would mix in. So we'll have the earlier people mix in. We'll have to like multiple downs because there's certain people that'll definitely be guests on the, we gotta have anybody current and present for the futures player societies is the whole thing. Well, it's future players society, right? It belongs to the future player ultimately. The future player is built on an idea, right? An idea, concept, a premonition, a dream. So it's been told. A few now. Yeah. I'm always ahead too. I've been thinking about things for the season 50. Amazing concepts, designs, ideas. It's wonderful things coming for the future audiences, I assure you. Lighting's good, but where do you see it? I'm going to be in California sooner than later. I'm going to get down there, and we'll get going. I'll be teaching improv, dojo jam, walk-ins, something like that. Giving people prices and making it work for them. But, really making it work for us, putting it together, making sure people get paid appropriately. And then making as many friends as possible, as fast as possible. Working the system real smart, real clever, slow to the ground, quick to the uptakes, the beats, have real material. We're going to work on just like a slow 5, real quick. Slow crawl 5. Start with 5. Keep it easy. Same 5, consistent. Make it right. Make it work. That's the key. And we'll use this stuff to really, really appropriately make it work, Yeah, I feel like this is going well. We might even do one more episode before I catch the train down to LA. We'll see. But for now, this is me signing out, saying good night, good luck, good afternoon, good day. Hasta luego. All that good stuff, though. For real. Peace, love, sending all my heart and all my attention to you in this moment, at this very least. When you now see me and I've seen you, and we're working together on this. Everyone's here together. The year's just beginning, and we're getting into the next month. And so far, there's so many things. So many things. So when you're watching it now, before, after, now, more than ever, though, I want you to know that I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. Thank you for putting that thumb up. Thank you for subscribing so you can see when the next one pops. And if you really want, I'm not that bad. I'm not pinging that heavy right now. But you could click the bell button too. If you click the bell thing is like a notoriety. So if you do the bell, then that'll notify you even quicker. However, for me, realistically, I just appreciate subscribers. I'm looking forward to my first 50. That'd be swell. And then once I get to 50, it'll be pretty quick to get to 75. And then 75 to 100. Once I get to 100, I get to 1,000, Not too bad, right? It's all about getting to 1,000 at some point. And, YouTube's great. They want to do what they want to do, But they'll appreciate me just like everyone else. And I appreciate you. So thank you again. Make sure and click that thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment if you want. I don't mind. Have a great night, though. Day, morning. And I'll see you when I see you.